So hello and welcome student to this lecture, which is actually lecture number 33. So in this particular lecture we are starting a new module, that is module number 5, the spectroscopic analysis. So basically, as this is module 5, it's quite clear that we have completed 4 modules actually, and that 4 modules are nothing but inorganic chemistry module 1, organic chemistry module 3, physical chemistry module 2, and industrial chemistry module 4. Okay, so this is module 5, and here we are trying to find out that what are the spectroscopic techniques that we people can use in chemistry, right? So welcome to this course, which is named chemistry, having the course code of CH101 for the odd semester and CH201 for the even semester. Now I am Jit Chakraborty from the Department of Chemistry at your service, right? Now what we people are basically having in this lecture, so let us see what the lecture name is, and let us see what we are having inside this lecture. So spectroscopic techniques in chemistry, part 1. This is our lecture name. This is the module is basically spectroscopy, and the lecture name is spectroscopic techniques in chemistry, part 1, right? So welcome to this lecture, and before going into the details of spectroscopy, right, let us first find out that what spectroscopy is, and what we people are having inside this particular thing, which is called spectroscopy. Okay, the first and foremost thing that we people are having is spectroscopy basically comes, if we just see the word spectroscopy and we just cut it out from the between, it will become spectro plus scopy, means something that deals with light. Okay, so spectra is basically dependent on light, and as you people know that from our prerequisite knowledge of class 11 and 12, that whenever light falls on a particular direction, right, we get spectra, right, electromagnetic spectra. Okay, now this electromagnetic spectra contains different zones: UV, IR, then microwave zone, radio waves, X-rays, right, visible zone, etc., etc. we people actually are having, right? Now here first in class 11 we people have come across this term spectra, and there only we have seen that what are the applications of this particular spectra, and how this particular spectra is originated, how it occurs, and how it can be evaluated. Okay, so that time we came across 2 different words, right? What the words are: number 1, the first word was absorption spectra, the second word was emission spectra. Okay, now what absorption spectra is, what emission spectra is, we need to see. Okay? If we go for the fact what absorption spectra is, we will come across the thing that whenever light is absorbed, right, suppose whenever we are having a light and a part of that light is absorbed, right, then what will have in corresponding spectra we will get. Now that particular spectra will be nothing but absorption spectra. Now this absorbed light, after a certain amount of time, this will be emitted back. Now whenever this light will be emitted back, then this particular spectra will be called emission spectra. Okay, so these are basically the things that we people have seen in our class 11, right? Along with that, we have seen line spectra, band spectra, and so on. But here in this particular chapter, we are dealing with something else. We are dealing individually with UV visible spectroscopy. We are dealing with IR spectroscopy. We are dealing with NMR spectroscopy. Okay, so let us see what we are having in this lecture. So basically, for your knowledge, this lecture is of UV visible spectroscopy. So in this particular lecture, we are going to see the details of the UV visible spectroscopy. Okay, so let us start it out. Now, as people can see, it is clearly written that spectroscopy, right, is a method of analysis based on the interaction of absorption or production of light by matter. So whenever light will be produced by matter or it will be absorbed, basically production of light by matter is nothing but emission of light, and the previous one is absorption of light. So whenever light will be interacted, absorbed or emitted by matter, then what we will be having, the phenomena is called spectroscopy. Okay, now the question arises that what is light? What is basically light? So here is the answer. Light is an electromagnetic radiation. Okay, and the wavelength of light is basically expressed in terms of nanometer, centimeter or meter, right? There are few other terms that we need to know along with wavelength, that are frequency, there is number of cycles per second, and wave number, that is number of waves per unit distance. Okay, right? Now as you can see, there are multiple types of curves that we are having. This is one curve where the top one, this above one is the crest and the lower one is the trough. Now here we people can, it is written also crest and trough. Now this is the way how we can calculate the amplitude of this particular wave, and this wavelength is the distance between the peaks of the two waves, right? And this is the formula of wave number, basically, where nu bar is the wave number and it is 1 by wavelength. Okay, this is how an absorption spectra looks like. There will be a peak where this particular peak will correspond to the maximum absorbance. Okay, and gradually it will fall down. Okay, so this was all about this particular slide. Let us go to the new slide. Okay, so here what we are having, here we are seeing electromagnetic spectrum, right? Now this is a very interesting diagram that you people have seen in your class 11 syllabus. The diagram itself implies that the in an electromagnetic spectrum, the electrical field and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other, right? Because they are anti-fields actually, so they always try to maintain a maximum possible distance between them, and this maximum possible distance can come only when they are uh, perpendicular to each other. Okay, so that's how it is, and this one is actually the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, now as you can see, this is the top one is the magnetic field, the blue one is the red one is magnetic field, blue one is electromagnetic field, and this particular direction is the direction of propagation of the wave. Okay, now wave number, wavelength and frequency and velocity, these are having the relationships. These are quite common relationships that we people are having. Lambda equals to 1 by wave number equals to 1 by lambda, nu equals to c by lambda, c equals to nu lambda. Okay, so all are interrelated, all are interconnected, right? Now what we are having here, we are having some details of the different zones of electromagnetic spectrum, and we have the diagram of this particular thing, how it works. So basically, first let us discuss about the diagram. This is the source of emitter. From there we are having the radiation. Now this radiation will fall on the sample, and from there we'll get the spectra. Okay, now this particular spectra will be calculated or will be detected by the spectrometer, which will be connected to a output unit. It may be computer or any device, right? Dot matrix printer also can be, and there we'll get our desired spectra, right? That absorption type of not observation, absorbance type of spectrum. Okay, now whatever the radiation is and what effect happens on the molecule and what type of spectra we get, that we can discuss clearly from this particular data. The ultraviolet or visible range is having the wavelength of around 190 to 400 nanometer. Here changes in electronic level occurs, within which if the molecule is having some conjugated system, then it responds to this particular spectra at 190 to 400 nanometer. This 190 to 400 is UV, and this 400 to 800, basically it will be 700. So this one is visible. So gradually it becomes UV visible spectra. Okay. After that we are having infrared spectra. In infrared it is around 2.5 micrometer to 4000 centimeter inverse, right? And here what happens, changes in vibrational and rotational movement occurs, due to which these vibrations are calculated and we get the spectra gradually. Okay, now after this we have microwave spectra. In microwave spectra the range is around 9.5 10 to the power 9 hertz. Here electron spin resonance or electron parametric resonance occurs, due to which the spectra is originated and our food gets heated, right? Okay, last and final is the radio frequency. Now in radio frequency what happens, uh, basically in radio frequency the nuclear magnetic resonance operates, and here the isotopes or the radioactive materials are evaluated and gradually we get what, spectra. Okay, so next what we people are having, we are having UV visible spectroscopy in details. Okay, so what we are having, see, first of all let us see what is written in the text and then we will go into the details. Okay, so it is clearly written that when continuous light of all possible wavelength is passed through a prism, the light is dispersed into its corresponding wavelengths. Okay, component wavelengths. When these dispersed wavelengths are passed through cells containing samples of atoms or molecules, then this particular light is no longer continuous. The light waves interact with the matter that is present, that is the atoms and molecules, and the missing wavelengths can be detected by permitting the light emergent from the sample which fall to the photographic plate. This is called spectrum. Gradually it is called absorption spectra. So basically what is happening, we are having a sample, right? Here it is clearly mentioned, this is the UV source. You are allowing the light to fall on the prism, then this light will fall on sample. So on the sample what will happen, some part of light will be absorbed and the other part will be emitted. Okay, now whatever is emitted, whenever that will be evaluated, then we can easily get whatever is absorbed, right? And accordingly we'll get the absorption spectra. So different details of the absorption spectra are given right here. Okay, the UV range, the visible range is given here along with the different data of their wavelengths. Okay, this is the Newton's color disk by which we can see what type of wavelength will be absorbed and what type of this complementary color and all we will get. Okay, this is the Newton's color disk. So let us see what's next. Okay, in the next lecture we sorry, not in the next lecture, in the next slide we are having the UV visible light is absorbed by a molecule. Okay, fine, now we are getting the range. This particular thing is the range, that is visible region, near UV region, far UV. Far UV is below 200 and near UV is 200 to 400 and visible is 400 to 750 or 700, right? Okay, so this was about the spectrum. Now here one question arises, that if you are getting this type of graph, there must be some expression with respect to which you are getting the graph. Now what that expression is, whenever we try to inculcate this fact, we came across a law which is called Lambert-Beer's law, right? And accordingly we have received one equation. This is the Lambert-Beer's equation, that is A equals to log 10 I0 by I epsilon Cl. Okay, where epsilon is molar absorptivity or molar extinction coefficient, I0 is the intensity of incident light, I is the intensity of transmitted light, C is the concentration of sample present in the solution. Okay, now here an important term comes into being that we are going to discuss, that is chromophore. So what is a chromophore? So any group of atoms that absorbs light whether or not a color is thereby produced, right? So if some group is absorbing light and producing color, then it's called chromophore. Basically chromo means color, right? So that's how it is. Now here one beautiful diagram is given, that whenever you are allowing light or radiation, what is happening, this particular electron is going up and whenever it goes down, again the emission occurs. Okay, this is good. Now here we have two important terms, two very important terms. One is this one, another is this one. So what is HOMO, what is LUMO, we need to know. HOMO is highest occupied molecular orbital, LUMO is lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. Basically this will be the first excited state and the ground state respectively. Here what is happening, you can see energetically favored electron promotes will be to the highest, to the HOMO, okay, and this one is also called the excited state. Now chromophore, here the definition is given properly. It is defined as any isolated covalently compound or covalently bonded group that shows the characteristics of absorption. Okay, some example of chromophores are C, alkyne group, acid group, cyano group, etc., etc. Okay, there are different type of chromophores. So now what are the types, let us find it out. Chromophores in which the group contains pi electrons undergo pi star transition. Examples are acetylene and ethylene. Now we can see this is the very important point, that is the different type of shift that we people see whenever we are discussing about absorption spectra. Okay, so these are some examples of the light absorption of conjugated materials, that what happens and how much distance actually it covers. But here we are much more concerned about this table and this diagram. So basically this diagram is molar extinction coefficient versus wavelength, and here you can see four different terms had come up. What the terms are, let us find out. First one being hypsochromic shift, second one is hyperchromic, third one is hypochromic, fourth one is bathochromic. Okay, so as you can see we have got this four. So basically first what we are having, let us study first of all left side, hypochromic shift, hypsochromic shift, sorry. So whenever the particular peak of the absorbance shifts to a shorter wavelength, then we say it is hypsochromic shift, and whenever the reverse happens, then we say it is bathochromic shift. So right side shift bathochromic, left side shift hypsochromic. Okay, similarly if it goes up we will say it is hyperchromic, if it goes down we will say hypsochromic. Okay, now goes up means higher absorbance and goes down means lower absorbance. So lower absorbance means hypochromic, higher absorbance means hypsochromic. Okay, now some applications of invisible spectroscopy we are getting. Number one is qualitative analysis, number two is detection of impurities, number three is quantitative analysis, number four is kinetics, number five is geometry of metal complexes. Let us explain each of this. So first of all we are having this particular thing, qualitative analysis. So how we can use this particular thing qualitatively. So qualitative analysis means we are trying to find out what type of group or what type of atoms are present, right? So basically what we people can do, we people can simply characterize the aromatic compounds using this particular spectroscopy. Okay, now how impurities can be detected? It is quite again simple. For detection of impurities, what can be done, the bands or absorption spectra that we will get from the pure sample and from the impurities, that will be different, so that way the impurities presence can be detected in this particular sample. Okay, quantitatively it is quite easy to determine, because just you measure the absorbance and that is nothing but the quantity of matter or the chemical present in a particular solution. Okay, now kinetics study can also be done using this particular technique, and the shape of different molecules, the geometry of different molecules can also be found using this particular technique. Okay, so that's all about the lecture today about the UV visible spectroscopy. In the next lecture we will come across with some new topic which is called IR spectroscopy, which will be much more complicated for you, and which will be actually not complicated, which will be much more advanced for you, and which we will actually be happy while learning it out. Okay, so thank you so much, and this will end here. So stay tuned, and let us meet in the next lecture. Thank you.